So we are reading Hands of Light by Barbara Brennan. We are on chapter 17, page number 155 of the book and page number 172 of the PDF.
Long distance perception. I have found that direct access works with whether the person is in the same room with you or at a distance. The longest distance aura reading I gave was during a phone conversation between New York City and Italy. At this point in my experience, my long distance readings appear to be pretty accurate, but the healings are not as powerful as when I am in the room with the person.
Okay. So in my view, long distance reading is absolutely possible. There's no problem at all with it. We are doing it in the Vastu and energy field class also to check whether the rectification is working or not. We can check the accesses of the human body system, whether the person is there or not. Of course, if the person is sitting in front with the on the screen, it becomes easier, but it is definitely possible. Even long distance healing is possible. We are seeing this every day in the healing group when people are sending reballs to others, and we are getting responses that yes, it is manifested or things have gone right, etc. Yes, Sagri. Sagri, you can unmute.
Sorry. I got no. I just wanted to say that it is just a point of view that people have. We just need to expand our awareness, because since we are all one, there is no separation. So to get to that state and to know with the certainty that there is no difference between people being there or not being there. I think it just takes, we need to just broaden our horizon and make it, more, go into awareness, just like we are doing in the workshops.
Absolutely.
That's to add.
Yeah, as soon as you raise your level of consciousness, then everything becomes available to you. Nothing is hidden. That's what I keep saying, right? So you're absolutely right that everything is one. So wherever we may be, we have access to actually everything. We are living in a holographic universe, which is very important to understand.
Direct access and precognition. There have been many times when people have asked my guide questions regarding the future. He always responds by saying that it is possible to talk about probable future reality, but not absolute future realities, because all of us have free will to create what we want in the future.
Now, this is a very, very important point that she has raised over here. We can never absolutely say that this is going to happen. It's always a probability. Personally speaking, I've developed a counting system where when people have options, I count, right? And on a scale of 1 to 10, I have seen that if it goes above 7, then the probability of something manifesting or happening is pretty high. But if it is below that, then generally the manifestation takes a little more effort and it is not going to literally happen. So what she's saying here is that everything is a probability. Nothing is a surety. But yes, with using a high sense perception, going into higher states of consciousness, we can get a broader overview and be more accurate with our predictability of what is the path that we should take or what is probable to be to manifest or probable to happen. So we take more correct decisions when we start going into these higher states of consciousness and looking at things.
He also says he will not predict the future, but then he goes ahead many times and answers the question that has been asked. So far, most of these possible futures have occurred. For example, Heaven has told someone that perhaps she would be interested in getting involved with the United Nations. She has since received 2 invitations that got her involved with the UN. Another person was told that he could get involved with the diplomatic service of Mexico and that he would make a contact when on vacation in Portugal. It happened. Others were told that they needed to finish certain things in their lives because they would probably be moving. They are moving now, although they had not thought of it before. At the beginning of one particular healing, I was told that the person had cancer and was going to die. She did. It was not even suspected when she came to the healing, and it was not found until after 4 CAT scans and about 4 months later. The CAT scan results showed the same shape, size, and location of cancer tumor I had seen with internal vision. Of course, I was very upset when I accessed this information. I did not tell the patient. I told her to go to her physician immediately. Unfortunately, I had no access to the physician. Experiences like these bring up issues of where the responsibility of the healer lies, which will be discussed later in the book.
So yes, when you get into these higher states of consciousness, you get downloads, you get information, right? I've experienced this over and over and over again. This is also very powerfully accessed when we get into guidelines program. And in the excursion, when you use the one breath technique, right? We get downloads and we get information. And believe me, I tell you, I get people coming to me after 25 years and say, 25 years before you said this, and it happened. Now, I don't even remember what I said to them, but yes, this access definitely starts to take place when we are getting into these higher states of consciousness. I can give you hundreds of stories regarding this.
The best measuring of the process of direct access of information is the work done on remote viewing by Russell Targ and Harold Potter of Stanford Research Institute. They found that a viewer in the basement of the lab at Stanford could fairly accurately draw a map of the location of a target team of people who were sent to various predetermined points. Targ and Potter began their experiments with known to psychics and then found that anyone they chose, even the most skeptical, could do it. I believe that what I am doing is very similar, only applied to healing.
So, of course, anyone who's done the Gateway Voyage knows about Joe McMonaghan. All of you can even Google him. He was named 001 remote viewer of the USA, of the US Army. And he conducts the remote viewing program at the Institute and is I consider him to be a personal friend and a mentor in the sense that, the remote viewings that he has done are literally fantastic. All of us can remote view. The only thing is that we need to get the small guy out of the way and allow access through the big guy. And then we can actually start seeing stuff. And everyone can do it, let me tell you. Yeah, some people may be good at accessing illnesses in physical bodies. Some people may be good at finding things. Some people may be good at predicting things. Some people may be good at locating things, etc., right? But everyone has this extra sensory perception. It's only a matter of being able to tap into it. That's it. And I think the Monroe processes really help us in tapping into it.
The best measuring of the process of direct access of information. In short, I believe most people can use some kind of direct accessing of information in their daily lives. What information would help you run your profession better? You can probably perceive it through the use of your own higher sense perception. All of this is another way of saying that the human being has many ways to receive information and guidance, if we will only ask for it or be open to receiving it.
So what I have seen is that I advise number of corporates also, people who've been running businesses, etc. And we find that using these sense perceptions, we can actually project and give a guidance to these people that where is your market going to do better? What is the product that you should push? What is your production capacity that you should have? What is the turnover that you can expect? When we look at people, we can tell them also that, okay, which person will be capable of doing which job. So you can actually help them place the correct person in the correct space rather than placing a square peg in a round hole, right? So all these things are absolutely possible. And let me tell you, if I can do it, then everyone can actually do it. And the more intuitive you become, the better your decisions automatically start to become.
Direct access of information has many implications for the future. If we, as a species, are learning to access information as evidence suggests, it will affect our entire educational system and, of course, the society in which we live. We will go to school not only to learn deductive and inductive reasoning, to gather information and enhance memory, but we will also go to school to learn how to access anything we want to know at a moment's notice. Rather than spending hours memorizing things, we will learn how to access the information already stored in the memory of the universal energy field. In esoteric terms, this information storage is called the Akashic records. These records are the energetic imprint fixed within the universal hologram of everything that has ever happened or has ever been known. In this type of brain function, information is not stored in our minds. It is simply accessed. In this type of brain function, to remember means to tune in again to the universal hologram and to read the information again, not to search one's own mind to retrieve the information.
So an analog of this can be that, we have certain information in a hard disk drive in a computer. But then when we connect into the internet, we can Google information which is stored elsewhere and have access to it, right? In the same way, we have certain information which is our implicit memory, right? Implicit learning, implicit intuitive ability. That is what we have experienced, right? That is what is stored in our own brain or in our hologram. But when we connect into universal consciousness, we have access to everything that has been ever occurred in this universal, in this universe, in the space that we live in. So when we tune into these higher states, we can actually start getting downloads of information that, okay, this is the way that you need to do it. And there are so many stories about this happening to so many different people. In fact, if you see our Rishi Munis and Gurus, etc., all the Vedas, everything were downloaded. You see great composers of music. They'll always say that it downloaded. It came into my head. I never composed it, right? It just downloaded and I just put it on paper. So that's how it works when we go into these higher states. This is something that artists will also tell you. Sculptors will tell you that, okay, I saw this piece of marble and I saw what will be created. I just chipped away whatever was extra. So these things are very, very possible for all of us to access.
Since this information exists outside the limitation of linear time, as shown in chapter 4, we will probably to some degree be able to read the future, as Nostradamus did when he predicted the rise of a dictator named Hitler in Europe, some 200 years before Hitler.
So Nostradamus had said Hisler, right? Not Hitler. But the fact is that he nearly hit it right? So again, it's a probability of how you're going to hit it. Now, the other thing that is there with people who are predicting the future is as soon as you are accessing what may happen and you tell the other person has a free will to take corrective action. So that event which may occur does not occur because the latitude or the attitude of the person and the way that the person is engaging in the setup, that changes, right? So again, as soon as you make a prediction, you affect the future also. But if no change takes place, then the probability is that it might occur.
Chapter 18, Internal Vision. My first internal vision experience happened early one morning as I was lying in bed observing the interesting muscle and bone structure on the back of my husband's neck as he lay asleep on his side beside me. I thought it was very interesting the way the muscles connected into the cervical vertebrae. Suddenly, I became aware of what I was doing and quickly cut off such seeing. I would not return to that level of reality for some time, saying that I had made it all up. Of course, eventually it came back. I began seeing inside my clients. At first, it was disconcerting, but my internal vision persisted, and so did I. The internal viewing correlated with other information I could obtain about the patients, either from them or their physicians.
Yeah, so when we get this sense perception, we can actually see stuff, right, which is normally not, we are not able to see with our normal eyes, right? So you can get like X-ray vision. And again, it's a perception, right? How that perception works is again besides the point, but it actually can happen.
Internal vision is the human version of the X-ray or nuclear magnetic resonance (NMR) process and is just as sophisticated. Internal vision includes the ability to look into the body at whatever depth and resolution within a certain range one wants to see. It is a new way of perceiving things. If I want to see an organ, I focus on it. If I want to see inside the organ or a specific part of it, I focus on that. If I want to see a microorganism that is invading the body, I focus on that. I receive pictures of these things that look like normal pictures.
So what does this mean, right? Because of intent, we can actually focus our intent on something and actually have a vision of that. Also the resolution, right? You can actually create meters for yourself where you can enhance the resolution or retract it. So again, intent makes a huge impression or is very, very important when we are using these extraordinary senses. Actually, they are ordinary senses, but because we are not aware that most of us have these senses, we call it extraordinary.
For example, a good healthy liver looks dark red, just as it does with normal vision. If the liver has been or is jaundiced, it will look a sickly yellow-brown. If the person has had or is having chemotherapy, the liver usually looks green-brown. Microorganisms look somewhat the way they look under the microscope. My experiences of internal viewing, which happened spontaneously at first, later became more controllable. I began to understand that to see this way, I had to be in a particularly open state in which my third eye or sixth chakra was activated and the rest of my body was in a comparatively calm, focused state.
So again, it's the rest of your mind is in a calm and focused state. This is again a state of consciousness that is very easily accessed through the Monroe process. When we are getting into F10, F12, F15, F21, you can go into these states, right? And then you can actually, with closed eyes, start perceiving stuff.
I later found techniques that would bring on this state, so I could look inside the body when I chose to, provided I was able to get into that mental and emotional state. If I was tired, I might not be able to do so. partly because it is harder to focus and quiet the mind when one is tired. It is also harder to raise one's vibrational rate when one is tired. I also discovered that whether or not my eyes were open mattered little, except for the interference of additional information that would come through the open eyes. Sometimes this additional information helps the focus, sometimes it hinders it. For example, I sometimes use my eyes to help me focus my mind on where I am looking. At other times, I will close my eyes in an effort to shut out other information that may be distracting my attention.
So again, this is all possible with open eyes. Also, this is something that we find again, many times in meditations, we'll ask a person to keep your eyes open and then write something down. And then again, go into that state. So it's possible to come in and out of these states of consciousness, whether your eyes are open or your eyes are closed.
Examples of internal viewing. An example of such viewing is shown in figure 18.1. The upper left shows the front exterior. Auric view. The upper right shows the interior view, and the lower illustration shows the rear external view. In this case, a friend of mine fell on the ice and hurt her shoulder. As I worked on her, I could see the auric hemorrhage out the front of the shoulder where she was losing energy. The rear area lines of energy along the trapezius muscle were tangled up and needed to be straightened. I cupped my right hand over the hemorrhage to stop it and combed out the tangles on the back. As I was doing this, I could see the crushed end of the humerus, which was later confirmed by X-rays. This short half-hour session healed the hemorrhage and the tangles to help a faster healing of the crushed bone.
Shimala, go one page back. Yeah. So this is the external scan where when she was healing and she cupped her hand over this, right? So this leak of energy was taking place. This is the tangled mess at the back of the in the back, which she combed up, and then with internal vision she saw that the femur had actually cracked, and you can see the crack over here, right? It had broken up. So naturally the healing helped in recovery faster.
Another example shown in figure 18.2 is an ovarian cyst, which I observed to be about the size of a tennis ball, 7 centimeters in diameter. On January 3rd, figure 18.2a, it looked dark bluish gray. This cyst had already been diagnosed by a physician, but the pelvic inflammatory disease, PID, which showed up as a dark red in the aura, had not. By January 15, figure 18.2b, the cyst had shrunk to 4 centimeters, and the PID had been diagnosed by the physician. By January 21st, figure 18.2c, it was 2 centimeters, but getting blacker, and showed a strange spiral configuration connected to it. The patient was on a cleansing diet that was clearing away the problem. I was not administering healing at this time. I was only observing the progress. On January 29th, figure 18.2d, the cyst grew to 3 centimeters, the size of a quarter, at the onset of menses, a common occurrence with cysts. By February 6, 18.2e, the cyst was down to 1 centimeter. By March 3rd, figure 18.2f, it was completely gone, with a lot of good, healthy, premenstrual energy to take its place. All these observations correlated in size with that of a physician's observations by pelvic examination.
Just go to the next page to show the figures. So you can see the first picture. Okay, this was not, the dark red was not diagnosed by the physicians. This tennis ball thing was diagnosed. Then over here, this has gone smaller. The tennis ball has got smaller and the tang inflammation has also got smaller. Then it became even smaller on January 21st. Again, January 29th, it became even smaller. February 8th, it literally disappeared, the tennis ball, and this became smaller. And March 3rd, it was cleared up. Go back, Shivam.
Another example shown in figure 18.2. Oh, sorry. Because of the darkness of the cyst's appearance in the aura on January 21st, both the physician and I advised that this woman take antibiotics. This type of illness, pelvic inflammatory disease, PID, over a long period of time, 3 years in this case, has been known to precede the development of cancer, which we wanted to prevent by getting rid of the infection. The patient remained on a cleansing diet throughout the treatment. She may very well have been completely free of infection without the antibiotic, but we did not want to take a chance.
So again, so you see here an example of a healer working in conjunction with the allopathic doctor. Yeah, so both have their benefits, right? If we can work with both together, it's always helpful.
To my internal vision, the cyst was almost black. In its early stage, cancer looks dark gray-blue. As it progresses, it turns to black in the aura. Later, white spots appear in the black. When the white spots sparkle and move out like a volcano, the cancer has metastasized. In this case, the cyst was getting too dark to wait for the cleansing diet alone to do the work needed.
So this is a lesson for healers, right? They need to understand when intervention is required. Also, many times healer take it across, they stretch it too much and they don't allow the allopathic doctors to come in, and then again, it can create problems. But again, that balance, that higher sense perception needs to actually precede any kind of treatment that you are doing.
Figure 18.3a shows another case of PID, ovarian cyst, and a fibroid tumor. As you can see, the HSP cysts are easily distinguishable from fibroid tumors, which show up in the field as reddish brown. Figure 18.3b shows an example of the use of remote internal viewing. At the end of one of my classes, a student asked if I would give her friend, who had 2 fibroids, a healing. As she asked, I immediately saw an internal view of her friend's pelvic region. I drew it on the blackboard. 2 months later, that drawing was confirmed when I gave the patient a healing. What I had seen was confirmed by the physician's diagnosis. She had 2 relatively small fibroid tumors which appeared reddish-brown in the aura. The one on the right was higher up and on the outside of the uterus, whereas the one on the left was lower and partially embedded in the uterus. What I had not seen remotely, but observed during the healing, was that the front second chakra had a break in it, probably partially due to the removal of the left ovary. This chakra was most likely disturbed before the ovary was removed. causing the dysfunction in the first place. I am sure that the surgery caused more trauma to the chakra. Adding to the surgical trauma, women usually withdraw their energy from the area where an ovary has been removed because they do not want to feel the emotional pain of losing an ovary. This type of blocking inhibits the natural healing process in that area of the body, only to make the trauma worse eventually.
So again, she can see, and whenever we have an operation, it leaves a trauma in the body system, which is something that we need to take care of.
Precognition with internal viewing. An example of precognition or warning from the spirit teachers happened one day when I was going to visit a friend. I was 3 blocks from her office when I was told that she wouldn't be there, that she might have had a heart attack, and that I was needed to give her a healing.
So again, this is like a download, right? You're given information and you need to act on it. The more, what I've experienced is that the more you act on these downloads, the more profound they start to become.
I found the office locked, so I went to her apartment, where I found her in a state of physical pain, holding her left arm to her body. She had spent the morning in the emergency room having cardiograms. Figure 18.4 shows what my vision revealed to me. There was emotional pain and fear held in the throat and solar plexus, and there was stagnated energy in the heart area, which permeated her body and then went straight back through to the rear aspect of the heart chakra. Thoracic vertebra T5 was displaced to the left. This vertebra is not associated with the nerves that innervate the heart, but is located at the root of the heart chakra. I could also observe a weakness in the aorta just above the heart. As we worked together to clear the stagnated energy around the heart, my friend let go the emotional holding in the throat and solar plexus areas by sharing her pain with me and crying. The dark energy cleared, T5 went back into place. She felt a lot better. The weakness in the aorta was still there when I left, but has cleared considerably with time.
Jungla, yeah, just show the drawing in the next page. Now see, many times what happens is that we are holding a lot of emotional stuff, which actually starts creating problems for us. And this is something that we can figure out in biofield tuning also. You can do it with extra sense, higher sense perception also, and see it. It comes out in the aura pictures also. So we can actually see what is happening in the place. So again, over here, you see the heart had a congestion and it was affecting the vertebra at the back in the spinal column, and it was affecting the chakras. In the third picture, you can see that.
Microscopic internal vision. Two examples of microscopic internal viewing are shown in figure 18.5a and b. Figure 18.5a shows the tiny rod-shaped organisms that permeated the shoulder-arm area of a person who had been diagnosed as having a leprosy-like infection. I could see these organisms penetrating this area, both muscle and bone. As we worked to heal, a very strong lavender and then silver light flowed into the body and filled the infected area. The light caused the organisms to vibrate at a high rate. It appeared to knock them loose. Then the energy flow turned around and sucked them out of the body.
So this is actually beautiful. Light, every color of light has a frequency of vibration, right? Every sound has a frequency of vibration. So this is very similar to what Royal Raymond Rife discovered when he discovered the dark field microscope, where he actually could see living organisms inside the microscope. Before that, most of the stuff that you saw in microscope were basically stains. So the organism was already dead, or whatever they were looking at was actually dead and then died, right? Over here, you're looking at live pictures, which also makes it very, very easy. So when she saw this light, naturally the light has a vibration and it knocked out the infection. So definitely this person must have got better after this healing.
In the case of an AML, acute myeloblastic leukemia, patient named Rose, who had been on chemotherapy, I could see strange-looking flat white seed-like objects that appeared to be squishing the red blood cells. Figure 18.5b. About a year before she came to me, she had been told by several physicians that she would probably die within 2 weeks. At that time, she was immediately put into intensive care and went on chemotherapy. She said that when they told her of the remaining 2 weeks, she saw a white gold light in the room and knew that she was not going to die. On the label of every bottle of fluid, including the chemotherapy that went into her during her hospital stay, she wrote, "Pure love." She had no side effects from the chemotherapy. She went into remission.
So again, we've been talking about this over and over. Dr. Emoto had done a lot of experiments with the power of words on liquids, right? So you write anything on a particular liquid, and we do experiments in the MC Square program. And soon I hope to bring the spoon bending program into India. So we will actually see that these things actually have an effect on the water, on the growth of seeds, etc., etc.
When she became an outpatient and continued her chemotherapy, she also started having channeling sessions with a friend of mine, Pat Rodgast, who channels a guide named Emmanuel. Emmanuel told Rose to stop chemotherapy because it was making her sick. The physicians said if she stopped chemotherapy, she would die very quickly because her blood test showed she was still in remission, not cured. It was not an easy thing to do, but she decided to stop. At this point, she came to me, and I saw the seed-like objects in her blood. During the first healing, the seed-like objects were knocked loose with a blast of lavender and then silver light, then were all sucked out. Her next blood test showed her blood to be completely clear and normal for the first time since her diagnosis.
So this is amazing. This is also a process that is used in shamanism, where they pull out through the sucking method intrusions, right? Or critters which get stuck in the body. All of us have these critters, right? And with shamanic healing, you actually take it out. We are planning to have a shamanic healing workshop with Jasprit Bhatia. I'm working on it. Again, we have to set the dates, etc., which is becoming a little bit of a challenge because too much is happening, but we will fix it up. So she is going to conduct, I think, 4 or 5 2-day programs, and it's like a certification. It's like a practitioner training that she's planning to do. So let's see how it pans out, one step at a time. But again, in shamanic healing, the same kind of thing happens. You actually suck out the critters which are there in the body system.
I clearly was not the main instrument in her healing. My role was one of support and clearing the blood.
Right. So now this is very important, right? Even in shamanism, the shaman doesn't heal. The shaman actually connects with one of the helping spirits, and the helping spirit actually heals. So over here, she's saying very clearly, my role was only of support and giving the principles over there, but the healing was taking place because of another field or another force.
Thanks to the internal viewing, I could reassure her that there was nothing abnormal in her blood. This continued to be corroborated by her blood tests until we decided it was no longer important for her to see me and have this support. It was not easy for her to stand up for her truth. She needed this support because at the time, the medical doctors, in all their sincerity, were quite afraid that she would die very quickly if she went off chemotherapy and told her this regularly. This is not meant to criticize the medical doctors. They were doing all they could to save her life, but in this case, there were other factors at work of which they were not aware. I, as a healer, had access to that information. They did not. This is an example where open collaboration between spiritual healers and medical doctors would serve the patients well. We have a lot to give to each other to aid the healing process.
Okay, so naturally we have to work together. And these are the diagrams where the blood cells of a leukemia patient are there, and you have these flat objects in that, and then you could see the flat things all over the body in the blood.
The process of internal viewing. I have the following explanation of how this kind of seeing works. I have observed the path of light coming into the body with my internal or X-ray vision. And what I have seen in this light enters both through the third eye and through the physical eyes and flows along the optic nerves as shown in figure 18.6. This light is of higher vibration than visible light and can pass through skin. The light passes through the optic chiasm and goes round the pituitary, which sits right behind the optic chiasm. The light then takes two paths. One path goes to the occipital lobes for normal vision and the other into the thalamus for oculomotor control. It has been my observation that by certain meditative and breathing techniques, one can cause the pituitary to start vibrating and radiating gold auric light or rose light if the person is in love. This vibration and gold light increase the amount of light branching into the thalamus area. According to my seeing, this auric light arcs over the bottom of the corpus callosum and is directed into the pineal gland, which acts as a detector for internal vision. By breathing in a certain controlled manner that rasps air against the upper back throat and soft palate, located just the other side of the pituitary, I can stimulate the pituitary into this vibration. This meditative breathing also helps to focus my mind and to quiet it. It also brings gold light up the back of my spine from the base and rose light up the front. These two streams arc over each other in the thalamus area. This brings more energy to the central forehead and central areas of the brain with which I see. The subjective feeling of this type of seeing is allowing something, energy information, to come into the third eye region of the head. This type of vision brings with it the ability to scan to whatever depth one chooses with a wide range of resolution, down to the cellular and even viral level.
So again, this is the light coming in. Many times when we are meditating, people feel this pulsating violet light coming over here, right? But again, light is actually going in. In biogeometry also, we talk about the 3 frequencies which are required for BG3 energy to start coming. That is the energy found in sacred spaces. That is again the higher frequencies of gold, the higher frequencies of ultraviolet, and negative green. That's the booming factor, or the penetrating factor which is there, where they term it the negative green. And this light can actually go and rectify and heal a lot of things that is happening. So it's very similar to what she's talking about over here.
My subjective feeling is that I have a scanner inside my head. It is located at the central brain area behind my third eye and about 2 inches back, where a line straight back from the third eye would intersect a line drawn between my temples. This seems to be the heart of the scanner. From this point, I can look in any direction I choose without moving my head. However, it usually helps to look directly at whatever I am scanning.
Yeah. So there's this guy called Daniel Bew. I forget the exact spelling, but he has also talked a lot about this, that the cross section and activating that. This is something that even Eileen Mukasson has taught using the tuning forks. We can actually activate the center to get higher sense perception. I've not been doing it, but yeah, we've learned how to actually do that. So this is exactly what you have to take that point and do it here, and then do it from here and here, and then it activates something in the center of the head.
When a patient comes to me, I do a very general scan over the entire body to pick up areas of interest. I am attracted to the areas of the body that need attention. Then I tune in more finely to that area and scan it at a finer resolution. To do fine scanning, I sometimes put my hands on the area in question. I find it easier to see this way. Sometimes I use another method. I just ask to see a picture of what the problem is, and I will receive a mental picture of the situation.
So this is exactly how this works. We do it with drawings, right? To figure out where the points of depletion are in a premises. And I'm surprised to see this, but if this is exactly what we are doing with a drawing. We're checking out, okay, where do I feel the imbalance, and then mark it out, and then go into that space and actually do something to heal that area, right? This is the exact same thing that she's doing, where she's scanning the body, figuring out where the imbalances are, and then going in deeper and then rectifying it. Shivangla, go back to the previous page. We can see that drawing. Make it smaller. So again, you can see the two points where the light is entering from the physical eye as well as the third eye, and it goes into the pineal gland, and from the pineal gland, it goes into the visual cortex or the occipital lobe, where the seeing can take place. And of course, it is entering the thalamus, where the pituitary gland is situated. And of course, you see that there's a crossover between the eyes, right? So the left side, left eye, it goes into the right brain, and the information from the right eye goes into the left side. So there's a crossover. So the right side of the brain looks after the left side of the body, and the left side of the brain looks after the right side of the body.
Exercises to establish internal vision. 1. Traveling through the body. The best way to practice learning internal vision is through deep relaxation exercises that include what is called traveling through the body. First, lie down and loosen all tight clothing. Deep breathe and relax. Try it again. Now take a deep breath and tense your whole body as tightly as you can. Hold your breath, then breathe out and let all the tension go. Do it again. Now repeat the tension breath exercise. But tense your body only half as tight. Equally all over the body. Breathe out and let go. Now, take a deep breath and relax as you let it go. Repeat 3 times without tensing your body. Visualize the tension oozing off your body like thick honey onto the surface beneath you. Feel your heart slow down to a nice, slow, healthy beat. Now, imagine yourself very tiny like a point of light and enter your body wherever you choose. Your tiny self flows to your left shoulder, relaxing all the tension as it goes. Your tiny self flows down your left arm and into your hand, relaxing all the tension with a slight tingling sensation, warmth, and energy. Your left arm is heavy and warm. Now your tiny self flows back up your left arm and down into your left leg, relaxing all the tension there, and then up your left leg into your right leg and back up into your right arm. Your whole body is heavy and warm. Now you begin to explore your body systems with your tiny self. Enter your heart and follow the blood as it is pumped through the body. Does that system look well? Does it feel healthy? Now travel through your lungs and look at the lung tissues. Go into your digestive organs. Follow the course that food takes as it enters your body. Go from your mouth down your esophagus into your stomach. How does it look? Is it getting enough energy? Is it balanced in the amount of digestive enzymes it needs? Now follow the food out of your stomach into the lower stomach, then into the small intestine, and then into the large intestine. Is everything well? Now go back up into your liver, your pancreas, your spleen. Are they all functioning well? Travel through your genitals. Are they getting the loving care they deserve? Is there any place in your body that you are concerned with? Send the tiny self into that area with love and energy. Take a good look at that area. If it is lacking in anything, let your tiny self do something about it. If it needs to be cleaned out, clean it out. If it needs energy, let the tiny self send it energy. When you have satisfied yourself with the exploration and care of your body, allow the tiny self to grow to your normal size and merge with your real self. You can return to this type of self-exploration anytime you wish. Bring yourself back to a normal state of awareness, but allow yourself to remain deeply relaxed, self-confident, and aware. You have been scanning your own body.
So again, we need to be relaxed to be able to do this. So the 10-point relaxation system, when we are doing the first few exercises in the excursion and in the gateway voyage, is basically to relax us. We can use that same state of relaxation to actually start scanning into our body to figure out where the imbalance is. And again, the key is love, and the key is compassion and gentleness. We need to have gentleness and compassion to ourselves to be able to do this kind of thing. Okay, I think we can stop here today.